Hi there. We're your hosts, Lee and Brendan. We hope you're doing well. In today's Living Care podcast, we'll be interviewing Dylan Langley, who is the state finalist for Young Australian of the Year 2021, which is great recognition for all the work that he's done in this space and in this sector, the out-of-home sector. Dylan spent all of his childhood and in foster care and also group residential facilities. But when he turned 18 and left, and he was required to leave out-of-home care, he had nowhere to go. So he slept rough. He spent a lot of time in homeless shelters and experienced a mental health breakdown. Sadly, it's not uncommon for those in out-of-home care who are leaving. Dylan now, though, he works for the Homestretch campaign, which is lobbying government and other organisations to try and close that gap and really make it a better space for those who are leaving care. Dylan uses his lived experience to strongly advocate to want to really change the sector. And I suppose my first question is, because you've got you're doing so many things, what's a typical day look like for you?
Day to day, I don't think there really is a typical day. Every day tend to come with different challenges and new opportunities, but generally it's meeting around with different organizations or reading over information and trying to create these improvements that you've highlighted within my introduction. So whether that be meeting with the department or looking to promote Homestretch, working alongside with Berry Street, whatever it may be. It varies from day to day, but it's generally all my days are based all around my passion, which is trying to create a brighter future for young people and create that positive change.
So a brighter change, I like that because it reminds me of something I remember hearing when I worked at Berry Street, brighter futures, or is it brighter?
Yeah,
and then
there's two pilots that have been going on over the last few years. One's brighter futures, one's better futures.
You're there, promoting, I guess, the aspirations and dreams of other young people in the sector to make sure that they get a better start than what they've been getting when they leave care. So what are some of your dreams and some of your aspirations? Love to know that.
Look, it's a really good question. I think my dream and my aspiration is to give to other young people, give them a chance to thrive in life. I really want to see young people succeed. And that's kind of that's my dream. That's my passion. And I do that through the work that I do. I also do that through my own, on my own. Like I've created my own website. I've got my own ABN up and running my own business in that sense. I'm delivering foster care training to foster carers and different stuff like that. But that's kind of my goal, is to work in that. I really want to stay connected with young people.
Yep.
And more broadly than that, just the community, to try and help them grow and flourish. I don't think it's just restricted to young people in out-of-home care, but it's a matter of helping everybody around them as well.
Yep. When did that start for you?
It was kind of sudden like that, but not so much just out of the blue. So the way it happened was, when I was a child, I dreamed of becoming a police officer. I wanted to follow in my uncle's footsteps and become a police officer. However, when I went into out-of-home care, I saw the way that some of the police treat those young people, and that tarnished that dream. I could not picture myself in such a workforce where you would be passing such judgment without even knowing the story on people.
Yeah.
And it made me, I've always been really insightful, but it made me take a step back and go, well, what do I want to do with myself? And I started looking around, and I was seeing these young people that I was living with. I was 15 at the time, and in the residential unit, watching these young people get in trouble with the police all the time, being dragged back, like every time they left the house, having the police called on them. We couldn't even leave the house without, like, there was one unit where I walked out the front to go down the street to go and get a can of Coke, and the police were just in their car at the end of the street waiting because they knew that there was a resi unit there. And it's kind of like that to me rang alarm bells in my head going, there needs to be help for these young people. Something needs to change here. And it's not so much just on the crime and law front. It's the way the system has molded that. And that's where it kind of ignited. I had a light bulb moment going, well, nobody else is aware of this. We need to create awareness. But we also need to create change, more importantly. And that comes from the awareness. So I started looking at different organizations, asking around how I could get involved in trying to become a better leader, what leadership programs were available, where could I go to try and get some training to really find my voice. And it kind of just grew from there. Like the more I did it, the more I became more confident and the bigger impact I was able to make until the point where I am today. So it kind of was this real sudden, something needs to change. But then it was what came after that.
The broader community that needs to be aware. It's not just the young people. You know, like if we're going to make significant change, it needs to be the broader community and education.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's a saying where they say that it takes a village to raise a child. That's where you kind of need the community. But when it comes to thinking about out-of-home care, they're kind of excluded from that. And they shouldn't. They're still children. They're still young people, and they still need that village, that community support. And you're absolutely right. Every person can play a part in that.
Just in saying that, Dylan, your voice and the power of your voice and your lived experience, like you got that courage and you said like step after step it got easier. Like,
yeah, absolutely. When I first started, I couldn't even speak in front of 5 people. And then you look at what I do these days, and over the last few years, I've spoken in front of rooms full of like 500. And it's like, you never, like, it's all about starting small. I had to start with just sharing my story with one person and then sharing it with 3 and working it up. Like nothing happens instantly. Good things that happen tend to take time.
And if I can go on to the thought that I'm sure that there's some young people out there, many over the years, that have thought to themselves like, oh, gee, I wish I could do that. But sometimes, you know, the fear of speaking up and speaking out will, like Erin said the other week, connect to all these supports, but then the decision to, when they really need the support at the end, when they leave.
Absolutely.
Oh, you agree? Yeah.
When you're in care, there's all these different organizations, different programs that are put in place to support kind of like that community. Like there's support programs, whether it be for your mental health, whether it be for drug and alcohol, whether it be for therapy, whatever it may be, you've got all these supports put in place that are designed by workers, and the workers making the decision on what you need. But no one's really consulting with the young people on what they feel they want or what they feel they need. And then when you become an adult, it's all gone and you're expected to know this on your own. It's like, what? It was never taught. And like, that was one of the things that I noticed when I started doing this, where all these programs going, oh, we want young people to be involved. Oh, we've got this idea. Let's put together this group. I'm like, have you spoken to young people about how they may feel around that? And like, even today, I get young people that come up to me and going, oh, I really like what you're doing. I wish I could do that. But it's not about just going, yeah, cool, you can do that tomorrow. You're going to be great at it. It's like, this is something that's taken me years to put in place. And it's really important that I highlight this when young people come to me. I encourage them to do this because their voice is just as important. And going back to your previous point about dreams and aspirations, every young person that comes to me and says, oh, I want to do what you do, I tell them, no, I want you to go further. I want you to achieve more. That's my dream and goal, is for you to go one step further than me. I know sometimes I make that difficult. Like people look and go, you've made such big change, but I want them to make even bigger changes.
Do you know, that speaks to me, Dylan, about leadership, and the power of leadership is not getting to the very height and just being the best of the best. It's actually what you do for the people coming behind you and how you aspire for them to actually go beyond what you could ever do. So
in my mind, a good leader will always lead from the back rather than the front. You don't lead from the front. You can inspire and help them, like teach them to come up. But you've got to take that step back and let them thrive.
Yeah, all a young person will see from what I'm hearing is the statistics of what happens after care is you're likely to have this happen. You're likely to become homeless 50%.
Interested to know, since you've been advocating for quite a few years, what positive changes have you seen in the sector? So just a couple of things that you've seen.
Yep. So we keep talking about Homestretch, and that's probably the biggest one that has happened more recently. And it's taken years to get that change. But so basically here in Victoria, we've managed to get the extension of out-of-home care for every young person, whether it be foster care, residential care, whatever it may be. They're able to stay in care up until the age of 21 now. That's a huge reform. That's a huge positive change. Yeah. By no means it's finished. Like there's still work to be done on how they get supported within that. Yeah. But it's such a massive win to have that. And it's life-changing for many young people. Yeah. Outside of that, you're also, like, over the years, I've seen much more youth-led programs appearing or organizations creating youth advisory groups. Yeah. But there's it's a bit of a murky area, that one, because there's a way to go about it and there's a way not. Like you can create, again, you can fall into the trap of creating it for young people rather than having young people create it with you. And that's like organizations are learning this and it's taking time, but they're trying. And it's good to see that more young people are starting to get involved and have that opportunity to really lead that space. So they're just a couple of things. Outside of that, like you've got the mental health, the Royal Commission into Mental Health. There were so many young people that were from out-of-home care that were able to be involved in that. Yeah. And it's just over the years, we're highlighting this issue. Out-of-home care is not becoming such a taboo thing. Yeah. It's now becoming, it's still a minority, but it's still very much becoming a movement in the sense of people are becoming aware of it. Yeah. People are highlighting, like the everyday public is starting to learn that and going, oh, we never actually thought about that from, we never knew that about out-of-home care. We never knew that happened. Like it can be patronizing at times to go, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that happen to you. We had no idea. But at the same time, they're waking up and they're learning that this is happening. Yeah. And it ignites something in them to then try and go, well, how can I help a young person in that situation? I love it. Yeah. So when I started this, going back to when I started, like, as I said, I was quite shy and couldn't do it. And as I grew, I kind of got a bit ambitious and took that gamble like you guys have done to create something. And my first attempt at it flopped. I made a real simple mistake and didn't tie my name to it. I tried to be a bit too creative and forgot that, no one's going to find it if I don't have my name touched. Those real minor things that, like, you just learn along the way.
True. We know. Yeah.
But and then I put that on hold for a while longer. And I actually had someone at an event turn around to me and ask me whether I've thought about creating my own business. And I went, well, I've tried that. It didn't really work out, but it's something for the future. And this guy was actually a website designer. Yeah. And he went, how about we get a coffee and have a chat? And we did that and we put together a little bio, and next thing I knew, he organized a photo shoot for me. Wow. From there, we got the website up and running, and then I registered my ABN. And now I'm at the point where I'm creating my own content for foster carers, and I'm working on another one at the moment to inform and train residential workers. But what I'm able to do with that now is go out to organizations such as Anchor, Anglicare, Berry Street, whoever it may be, and say, hey, I've got this resource, this toolbox that I think would be really great for your workers, your carers to hear about.
That's great.
And yeah, we negotiate from there on how that could work, when would be a good time.
Yep.
Obviously, I shared the documents with them to see if they like it.
Yep.
And yeah, so I've got my website. It's now nothing fancy. It's just under my name. It's under dylanlangley.com.au. But
Can you spell your name out for our listeners, just as this gets
yeah,
out?
so it's Dylan, Dylan, Langley, Langley.
In closing, thank you again, Dylan, so much for speaking to us today. So appreciate it, and really appreciate it. And just in closing, I'm saying to those listeners out there that could your voice be what's missing from the leaving care system? And perhaps you, like Dylan, as you heard today, you've wanted to speak up before, or you've wanted to do something in that space, and you're just not sure how to take the next step exactly. So I'm not saying we're the only step, but we're one of the steps, starting Thrive Peer Coaching in 2022. There's lots of twos in there. We're going to pilot and launch Thrive Peer Coaching, like what Dylan said, with the lived experience of young people in our corner, and really listening to the youth voice, and starting Thrive Peer Coaching, which is supporting care leavers through peer support. So I just encourage you to get in touch with us by email or on our website, thrivepeercoaching.com.au. We're also going to have Dylan's website, with his permission. Actually, Dylan, can we put it in the session notes?
Yeah, absolutely.
So people can grab that on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, or Anchor Podcast.
Yep.
We'll put that in our session notes, as well as thrivepeercoaching.com.au. And we want to wish you all the best for this Sunday. Have a fantastic Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's bye until next Sunday from us. And Dylan, thank you so much. We'll be in touch soon.
No worries. Thanks for having me. Take care.